Welcome to the Liquidity Event, a show about all things personal finance with a laser focus on taxes, financial independence, and equity compensation. Hosted by AJ and Shane of Brooklyn FI, each episode will focus on a personal finance topic, some driven by news headlines and sometimes driven by listener questions. And sometimes you'll just get two money nerds rambling about what they think is interesting. Just a quick note before we get started, this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered tax or investment advice.
Hello, and welcome to the Liquidity Event. We're your hosts, AJ.
And I'm Shane.
And this is episode 131, being recorded on January 14th, 2025, airing on January 17th. A quick reminder for you listeners, we will answer your questions on the pod. If you leave us a message, you can disguise your voice and use a fake name if you're shy. The link is memo.fm/the Liquidity Event. Today on the show, we'll be discussing how Alaska Airlines' ambitious Investor Day plans show they are trying to compete with my one true love, Delta Airlines. We've also got a womp womp from a Fidelity employee who stole money from employee stock plans, and global HR FinTech Deel finds itself embroiled in a Ponzi scheme lawsuit. And finally, we've got a hot trending Reddit topic on whether it's better to take $2 million now or wait 3 years for $5 million. How are you, Shane?
I'm great. Yeah. Back in Mexico. I think I've been in Mexico the past few episodes.
Yeah, it's boring. You have no updates from you. You're the exciting digital nomad globetrotter, so I'm just bored with you being in Mexico for 3 episodes in a row. Can you go somewhere?
I was like, damn.
Mexico City,
Jesus
so
Christ.
Boring.
Yeah, my week was pretty sick, actually. You're right. I did book a flight to Edinburgh for May, and I will be in San Francisco in April, and I'm going to Charlotte in January. So there still will be a little bit of travel coming up, but nothing as typical as the last Q4, Q3 of 2024, which was just exhausting. I'm happy to be home, AJ. Where are you?
Likewise, I'm in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. It's a little cold, nothing new. Me complaining about the cold. My husband's sick of me complaining about the cold, so I'm just going to embrace it.
It's extra funny because you guys have your place in Palm Springs, so I know that whenever he hears you complain about the cold, you're wanting to go to Palm Springs is his interpretation of
that. Which gotcha. I am in 8 days, but it's a lot. 8 days is a lot of 28 feels like 17 days.
Hold on a second. I think I lost my tiny violin I'm supposed to be playing for you right now. I think it's on one of these shelves over here. So you're in New York, but that's not where you were over the weekend, was it, Miss Ayers?
No, it was not.
You want to tell the audience about your experience?
Not really. I'm still scarred from it. Ladies and gentlemen, so for those of you who have not caught up.
We discussed it on last week's podcast.
I know we did. So just to catch you up if you've never listened to the show before, I lost fantasy football, and the punishment, as I understood it, seems like we had different interpretations of the punishment. The punishment, as I understood it,
the rules seem to change every time you lost a fantasy football game. The rules seem to have changed a tad. Anyway, go ahead.
Next time I'm getting it in writing, because my understanding of the punishment was that because of my personality disorder of needing to plan, you were going to send me to a random city with no warning whatsoever. I was going to show up at the airport, which was stressful and anxious, anxiety-inducing enough for me. And I was going to have to go somewhere. And I was not expecting it to be like an awesome place that I want to go, like San Francisco. It was going to be a place that, was maybe not on the top 50 best places to visit in the U.S. But no, Shane Mason, truly diabolical business partner, sent me to, I flew to Memphis, Tennessee, which is a lovely city. However, I was not allowed to enter the city limits of Memphis because my destination was South Haven, Mississippi. And Shane, what's special about South Haven, Mississippi?
It's where I grew up, dear listener. It is the monoculture hellscape that one of your co-hosts of the Brooklyn FI Liquidity Event podcast spent 15 sweet years of his life. And guess who couldn't spend 3 straight days where they grew up? No, Miss Laurel Canyon, Los Angeles over here.
In my defense.
Broke 2 cardinal rules of the punishment, which were she was not allowed to leave DeSoto County, and I was to book the flights. And what do we have? I was sent a photo of a seafood tower. Guess how many seafood towers are sold in South Haven, Mississippi that I was able to take advantage of? Keep in mind, I worked at a seafood restaurant, Red Lobster.
I had to go visit a client. So Shane's sister lives in Memphis, and I took the opportunity, someone who I've known for 7 years on the internet and spoken to on Zoom, I'd never met in person. So I seized the opportunity to go meet Shane's amazing sister, Laura, and we had a blast eating seafood. We did. Here's the problem. It was a freak blizzard. So when I landed, it was snowing and there was a foot of snow on the ground. And I am a California girl and I cannot drive in the snow. So I was hydroplaning on the highway, which was a really scary, weird start to a weekend where I was already very anxious. And sitting in a hotel room, not being able to do anything at all, watching my hometown go up in flames and my friends lose their houses was a really bizarre post-apocalyptic experience. So it was a weird weekend.
So tell us what happened, AJ.
Sufficiently punished.
So what did you do in my hometown?
I went to Olive Garden, which was the only thing that was open on Friday when I arrived. I was the only customer. I ordered rigatoni with pasta sauce, red sauce, and they told me they were out of rigatoni because the batch had gone bad. Not sure how pasta goes bad, but it does. So I had fusilli instead. Then I went to Walmart and I bought some vegetables and fruits and hummus and turkey slices because literally everything was closed and I couldn't go anywhere for 24 hours. And then I binge watched The Crown on Friday night in my hotel room. And then Saturday, woke up, did some writing, kind of was thinking it was like a little writing retreat for myself, did some writing in the hotel, worked out in the lovely hotel gym. At
what point did you say, I am changing my flight to be 12 hours earlier than it previously was? What was the breaking point for you where you broke the rules?
The breaking point. First of all, I didn't break the rules because you booked my flight to leave early Friday morning. So I had to cancel my whole Friday. So spending a weekend somewhere, I don't count Friday, Saturday, Sunday as a weekend. So you broke the
rule
rules.
Was I booked the flights.
I think I changed my flight when, I don't know. I just kind of lost my mind. It was a really weird experience.
We'll still count it, ladies and gentlemen, even though she only broke 2 rules.
We are counting it.
3 strikes and she would have been out. But anyway, I'm glad you're a good sport about it and you owned up to your losing of the fantasy football bet. So no welching here at Brooklyn FI.
No, next year I'm bringing in a ringer. I have a whole team assembled to help me draft and win. So
fantasy football GPT is what I'm expecting from you next year.
All right, so that's our personal updates for this week. Let's get into some articles. So speaking of air travel and Delta Airlines, by the way, this weekend was sponsored by Delta. Thank you so much for upgrading me on my way there. Alaska Airlines, who recently purchased Hawaiian Airlines, announces Alaska Accelerate at their Investor Day. Did you read through this? All these perks that they're promising?
Looking through a company's Investor Day promises to investors is really tough for me. I just read it as corporate bullshit, frankly.
Yeah, it's we're going to deliver $1 billion and blah, blah, blah means we're going to cut services for customers. However, they are promising new routes from Seattle to Tokyo and Seoul, which I'm very interested in, and a new premium credit card that's coming summer 2025. More miles, better elite status, more lounge access. Not sure what else they're promising, but this is very clearly a move to say, okay, Delta's obviously had huge success monetarily with their premium product for their medallion members. So Alaska's going, all right, what else? Let's get in on some of this.
All of your notes are irrelevant to Delta. I'm not sure what Delta has to do with Alaska Airlines.
Because Delta has captured the, let's call them the elite traveler, if you will. And Alaska's been buying up all these, just merged with Hawaiian Airlines. So I think they're actually they said it in the document that they're coming for market share from Delta.
Gotcha. So what do we have now? Alaska, Delta, American, Southwest, United as the standard airlines. And then we have our budget airlines of Spirit
and
Frontier, these fellas. Yeah. So with Alaska, I don't even know. I don't know what that is. Ever since you you handed me the Kool-Aid of Delta Airlines about 3-4 years ago. I have not looked back. I just like simplicity, frankly. I'm Obama with the one orange or one blue suit that he wears every single day kind of vibe here. But what's it going to take for you to switch to Alaska Airlines, HA? You're going to have to go to Hawaii much more often?
I mean, Tokyo and Seoul for sure. Those are places that I would like to go often from Seattle. Yeah, Seattle, Palm Springs. I fly Alaska on the West Coast a lot, actually, when I'm going from like Northern California or Seattle down to Palm Springs. There actually are no Delta flights. I don't like the Delta flights as much. I'm not going to switch, but I'm definitely going to get this credit card because it sounds cool.
Yeah. One thing I know. All right, fair enough. You do you, girl. Just don't put it on the business. One thing I wanted to take a look at is performance of these various airlines over the past 6 months. It looks like they're all like Alaska, Delta, and America are all like in the like doing around 50 to 70% growth over the past 6 months, which is really impressive, which is kind of insane over the past 6 months for them to have grown that much. Southwest only up 20%. Surprise winner, United Airlines is up 142%. Over the past 6 months. Where do you think these huge growth numbers in terms of asset valuations are coming from over the past 6 months, AJ? Just like rebounding from the COVID? It seems like COVID was 2 years ago. All that revenge travel should be down. What is it? Consolidation? We're seeing less competition. So the value of these airlines is going up. The value of the price of oil coming down. I'm not sure what is causing this bounce in profitability.
Yeah, not sure. Maybe that prices have stabilized and they're able to actually charge prices now that, we've kind of got inflation under control. We got rid of the political instability. People are traveling again. I mean, could it just be everyone flying home for Thanksgiving and Christmas? Like, could that have been such a big surge where people weren't going home for so many years? They finally felt comfortable.
I don't know. I mean, one other thing to note is that Alaska is up 76% over the past 6 months, but flat over the past 10 years. So they are valuation-wise where they were in 2015, which is, not the kind of industry you want to be in as an investor.
Interesting. Speaking of investors, Fidelity failed to supervise an employee who stole $750,000 from stock plan clients. This sucks. I hate this. I hate these stories. These are bad apples who steal and only get caught when a client, a customer, a person like you and I blows the whistle. It happened to 37 clients over 8 years, and no one noticed until one person finally said, "Hey, why is money moving out of my stock plan account?" And I don't know. Do people just not log? I guess people just don't log into their investment accounts because they don't understand it or they leave the company. Why do you think it took 8 years for this guy to get caught?
In my opinion, it was the plot of Superman 3, just a couple zeros to the right. And it's such a small amount of money that no one was going to notice. I mean, was it $750,000 over 8 years? Like, that's nothing in the terms of stock plans or even that's a fraction of the CEO of this company's salary, right? By the way, did you see the headlines of I love the headlines came out last week, like the tweets, like the CEOs of FTSE 100 companies have earned as of today as much as the average employee will make in an entire year. And it's January 10th, January 7th, right? And then we're complaining about the culture wars. Still, we're focused on
focus on the wrong things,
on wokeism and trans rights and things like this. Whereas CEOs have made already what an average employee will make in a year. Anyway, so it's just not a ton of money, and it was done over 8 years. And like the thing that I noticed is it was related to international clients, right? So I guess if you are working from South Africa, working from Europe, where have you, and you don't know what an RSU is in the United States, we don't actually know what kind of employees, what kind of plans, like maybe it was options, like any other, like who knows what type of equity it was. But if you've got options, sometimes your options do change in quantity when there's like a stock split or there's a consolidation or there's an acquisition or things like this. Like employees already view this type of compensation as funny money that's not real anyway. So if a little bit moves here or there, especially if it was something that you would have to pay for to acquire, like a stock option, you might even see it as valueless or who cares. So I'm not super surprised by this. I'm actually impressed by this scam, honestly, even though they did get caught eventually.
So impressed you might try it yourself? Just kidding.
No.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's $750,000 across 37 clients. So that's what, $20,000 an account? Like it's pretty easy to siphon off $20,000 if you're doing it over an extended period of time. Eventually he got caught. FINRA caught him. You and I pay FINRA dues to be regulated by them. So love to see our FINRA dues at work in the industry. That's great.
Hell yeah, let's go regulators.
Please regulate me. I'm ready to be regulated.
You're actually not ready to be regulated. I seem to remember a Zoom call earlier where you were not trying to be compliant with our cybersecurity policy.
That is not true. I just didn't have 10 minutes to restart my computer, because restarting your computer is the worst thing you can experience as a ADHD sufferer like myself, when your entire life is all your tabs, and restarting your computer is like D-Day. So anyway, moving on.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's why I've been avoiding it. I am compliant. Speaking of people who are not compliant, Deel, D-E-E. How many E's are in Deel? Two E's. Deel, accused of laundering sanctions failures in a Ponzi scheme lawsuit. Ugh, I hate this, Shane. I hate this so much. So Deel, this is the company that is trying to solve the global hiring problem. This is a real problem that small businesses face. So like, this is a fintech that's actually trying to solve a real problem. And I'm always rooting for fintechs that are just trying to solve real problems, not making up problems. So yeah, if you like a small business like ours, if we wanted to hire an employee in France and one in Mexico, we would use Deel to basically handle the payroll for us, which is awesome, because I'm not going to hire an international payroll expert who knows the HR and payment laws and all that nonsense in all the countries in the world. Like, that doesn't make sense. So they tried to create a platform. So I've been rooting for them for a while. Unfortunately, there are some bad actors on their platform that led to some money being laundered. There was a Ponzi scheme involving quote unquote elderly church members. So that sucked. And now we have this wonderful company embroiled in this, what I kind of assume is a frivolous lawsuit.
Yeah. I mean, international banking, know your customer, all this stuff is super complicated. And especially within the fintech space, where you're trying to ease the flow of money from one place to another, you can run afoul of regulators. This is like another regulator story here, right? That we've been talking about here on the pod today. It's tough. It's very hard. It's very complicated. And yeah, you're dealing with cross-border platforms. And as someone that lives in Mexico and is constantly trying to figure out the best way to move money from one country to another, you hope that things get smoother. And then within the United States, our banking system is so goofed and so difficult. You don't actually own your data. Within the accounting space, you're constantly trying to figure out how to categorize transactions for our customers. And you can't get that information very easily from the banks because they own the data, as opposed to most other countries in the world where you own your own data. We are backwards in the United States when it comes to this policy, and it makes it a lot harder to start up a fintech and to provide services. And we're seeing that live here. We actually had just interviewed somebody this week that I would love to hire and use Deel probably as a provider to pay that person from our US based company if we were to hire that person. But it's just, this is a bummer that you're seeing a fintech that would potentially add some value to the flow of money around the world getting hit with lawsuits and hit with scrutiny and being regulated.
Isn't this just it's always wire fraud kind of vibe, where it's like someone saw an enterprising lawyer saw an opportunity to get a bunch of money for victims of, I feel bad for these victims of this Ponzi scheme, but is it Deel's fault that this happened on their platform? It's kind of like Section 230 for payments, right? Like, is the platform responsible for the things that happen on it? We see that a lot with like Facebook and talking about, hate speech that happens there, but what about wire fraud or Ponzi schemes that happen on a platform that Deel created? I don't really know the answer to that. But this just makes me, I just saw this headline and I wanted to share it with you because it honestly just made me sad.
Okay. How do you feel about Deel, their approach to this? Do you think that they were just turning a blind eye for the sake of growth? Or do you think that they were honestly just didn't know that they were a part of a Ponzi scheme that involved Russians, just like every crypto platform?
Yeah, I don't know. There was this kind of like aside in the article about how there's this part of their business where they were providing kind of payment transfers for these like prop bet sites that sounded like a little sketchy, but it was like only 1% of their business, and it wasn't like their core business model. And as you and I talk about all the time, like stick to your core business. So hopefully they got rid of that. I think they did get rid of that part of their business. So I don't know. I'm sure someone knew. I'm sure this lawsuit will prove that someone at the company knew about it. So I hope that they're able to settle, and I hope this does not impede their growth to help solve the global hiring problem. So Deel, we're rooting for you. And I hope you did not participate in Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, well, they're worth over $12 billion as of 2022, so I'm sure they'll be okay.
They'll be okay. Shall we go to a rich people personal finance Reddit question? By
the way, they're worth more than Alaska Airlines, which is valued at $8 billion. So
it's just an airline. It's boring. That's a business I understand. I don't understand global HR.
Being in the business of owning jets and moving people all around the world apparently is less valuable than whatever the fuck Deel does.
How old is the like like passenger aviation industry? What, like 50s?
It's the 20s?
No,
it's
like
the 30s, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Wright brothers were like 1916 or something, so I'm sure the first, like, what do you mean? Like the very first flight, or like the oldest public company?
I mean, like a person being able to buy a ticket, a non-aviation person, or a person not in the army flying a fighter jet to drop bombs, or a crop duster, like someone going to an airport and buying a ticket as a passenger. Like, when did that start is my question. And I don't think it's 30. I don't know, who knows? I don't want to sound like an idiot, but I think it's a little bit later than that. Anyway, all right.
Answer your own damn question then.
All right. So the question is cash net 2 million now.
Wait. Give me some context here. Where are we at?
This is a Reddit personal finance question.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Cash net 2 million now or 5 million in 2 to 3 years. Hey guys, happy.
Wait. Don't skip over the fantastic username.
Gazzo69.
Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. Hey guys, happy I stumbled onto this sub and nice to meet you. I currently own around 1 million, one apartment plus stock, leaving out high-risk angel investments. Now there is an opportunity to personally earn 2 million net, meaning after taxes, in an exit event of my company. I earn a fair low 6-digit startup salary, and I'm planning to focus on other stuff after this company, meaning this exit is a one-time event, and I will place that 2 million low risk. My wife and I live very low key. That is, of course, our own perception, but we don't consume much and spend less than $2,000 per month on living. Wow. Low cost living. Love that for you. Is it worth sweating another couple of years and cashing in 5 million instead? Besides the emotional element / soft factors, I would just love to hear your opinion, or maybe what you have experienced yourselves. I am 30. Thanks a million in advance. I think he means thanks 2 million in advance. But initial gut reactions here. Shane Mason.
I like that. My gut reaction is this is English as a second language. Oh, I'm sorry. We're supposed to be nice on these Reddit responses now. Your face. Well, there's just a lot of typos here. Actually, I bet this is just written on.
You guys, what am I going to do with them?
This is just written on an iPhone, or yeah, for sure. But I just mentioned that because it's the grammar is a little bit tough too. As somebody that is Spanish as a second language, 3 hours a day, I feel for this person in terms of just trying to express themselves in a potentially second language for themselves. Why is this? First of all, my first question is why does this person have high risk angel investments as someone that's making low 6 figures? Mm-hmm. What is that about? Where is our portfolio? That your portfolio should be made up 90.
Maybe that 1 million. I'm guessing. I'm inferring based on the angel investments and the way that they're potentially already had an exit. I'm going to go ahead and make a leap that there's $1 million in cash or stock.
Yes, congratulations to this person that has this $2 million opportunity on their plate. He didn't mention his spouse's income. I'm sure they're working because they're not, I don't know. They didn't mention anything. They live low key. They only spend $2,000 per month. If she's not working, that's interesting. What's going on in this household? I didn't see any kids either. But he's also mentioning $5 million in 2 to 3 years. Did you see a guarantee on $5 million in 2 to 3 years? Or are they just assuming like a lot of our...
I think there's an assumption that basically I have an opportunity to cash out $2 million now, but based on the growth projections that have been provided to me by my company or that I've done myself based on market, I don't know, forces, what have you, I'm going to guess that I'm going to have a $5 million exit in 2 to 3 years. As financial planners, I think that's not a good idea. I'm going to go ahead and my gut reaction was to have this person cash out immediately. I started with 100%, but then I negotiated with myself down to, but somewhere between taking 75 to 90% of it off the table and cashing out, and then leaving some of it in the company. We talk about this a lot with our clients where we want to create a scenario of least regret. Having the opportunity to have $2 million after tax right now would be life-changing. And this person would likely be set for life, especially if they're only spending $2,000 a month, right? So
that's 83 years of expenses. $2 million, okay, pre-tax, yeah. So if you divide 24K of
post-tax, net.
I didn't see in an exit. I don't see net.
At the title, cash net $2 million now.
Ah, nice. All right, sick. Yeah. Well, anyway, so that's 83 years of expenses. So he's 30. So unless he lives or they live until they are 113, they should be good to go.
Yeah. But
so why even risk it for another $3 million? Are you going to live to 133?
But I mean, this comes up all the time, right? Like with equity, whether it's a company that's public or about to go public or a company you founded, like, should I divest? Like, should I have a liquidity event, or there's the temptation to leave it in the business and see what happens. You could get 2 million now, but you could get 30 million in 8 years, right? That's a possibility. That is a potential
100%.
outcome. So I don't know. I mean, I've had this exact conversation with clients over and over and over again. And my recommendation is always get money out. If you have the opportunity to become financially independent, almost guarantee, like, this is a guarantee, right? Assuming he pays the taxes and he gets 2 million, like, you just did the math for us. Like, this person probably never has to work again, has an incredible opportunity to do something totally different with his life, found another company, do a bunch more dumb angel investments, coat his pool in gold leaf, do whatever you want.
Wait, I got in trouble for being mean.
That's okay. If this person was sitting right here, I would happily say angel investments are 100% at that level of income.
100%. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that there is, our job as financial advisors is to also help people minimize their potential regrets. So it's not really a binary choice. It's not exit now or exit later. You could also take 75% of your chips off the table now, lock in 7 years of expenses, before we even think about compounding interest. And it's probably more like 100 years if we invest that now and continue to work. But then we would retain 25% of the upside or downside. That 25% could go to zero, but we don't need to put all of our chips. We don't have to go all in on every hand of poker, right? So we could hold some of that back and hope for some upside on it.
You think? Yeah, my target was taking 75 to 90% off the table. If this were my client, I would say 90, and I would let them negotiate me down to 75%. That's where I would. There
you go. Yeah, you could have them anchored to that 90, and then you get lucky. Yeah, I hear you.
This is a really tough call. And look, I think a lot of the biggest fear this person has, and a fear a lot of our clients have, is great. I'll take the 2 million now, and then in 4 years, my 2 other co-founders who kept 100% of their chips on the table are going to have an exit for $40 million, and I'm going to look like a fool, right? We don't want to look stupid in front of our friends. So that's the biggest fear, and that may happen. And if that happens, your coworkers have $40 million, but you're still financially independent. Whereas if you don't take chips off the table, the more likely outcome is that this company doesn't go to zero, but loses value. And instead of 2 million, you have $400,000, and then you're not financially independent. And you got to do this all over again, which some people do. And some people are addicted to that rat race. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think a good mental exercise to do every time you have one of these big pivots is to definitely think about something, find something you should definitely not do. I like to think in terms of extremes. Something I definitely should do. I don't think we have an answer there, but something we definitely should not do is not sell any of it. So we got to pick a number to sell now, right? So let's definitely take some chips off the table, because if we don't sell any of it now, then it leaves the pachinko machine's availability for this thing to go to zero. And then you have a massive regret possibility, potentially self-harm in the near future.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly. Let's minimize that regret. I think that's why I love tender offers so much, when companies allow employees to sell up to a certain amount, like the decision's made for you. Of course, usually it's 20% of the holdings that you have. And it's a small enough amount. You're still holding 80%. That's barely taking a bite out of the sandwich, So like, let's obviously click yes on that. Right?
A bite out of the apple. I love you so much.
Sandwich? It's not apple? Sandwich?
The idiom is apple. I'm putting it on the list.
I prefer sandwich. It's a ham sandwich.
You're a ham sandwich.
All right. I think that's a great place to call it here. You want to read us out if you have the tab open?
I have the tab open. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Liquidity Event. You can email us your financial problems at liquidityevent@brooklynfly.com. Leave us a voicemail at memo.fm/the Liquidity Event, and we'll play it on the air. And finally, all you stans can leave us a review, 5 stars, please, if they want to be weird about it. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week on the pod.
Bye.